Hi everyone, it's Refresh, and I'm here to take a look at Ultimate Guard's premium soft sleeves for mini European board game size cards. And that is for cards in games like Settlers of Catan, Pillars of the Earth, Thurn and Taxis, El Grande, Anno 1503, and more. These sleeves are 46 by 71 millimeters and are clear. They come at an MSRP of $2.25 for 50 sleeves, and that is a bit under 5 cents per sleeve. Let's see what we get inside. As you can see, the sleeves are glossy and smooth on both sides. Now let's count and see if there are 50 sleeves here. There are 51 sleeves represented, so all 50 are accounted for, and there's a bonus sleeve there. Let's see what the thickness is. These sleeves are approximately 5 millimeters for 50, which means that each sleeve is 100 microns thick, or 50 microns each face. Now let's check the dimensions. It is 46 millimeters wide by 71 millimeters tall. Now let's see how a card fits. I have a Ticket to Ride mini Euro card here. It seems to fit just fine. It is a relatively close fit on the sides, and there is just a little bit of room at the top between the top edge of the card and the opening of the sleeve. Next is the sleeving test. I'm going to sleeve these 45 Ticket to Ride cards into 45 of these sleeves, and we'll see how long it takes. Ready, set, go. Alright, that took a grand total of 8 minutes and 23 seconds, which is an absolutely glacial pace of 11.18 seconds per sleeve. As you probably could have seen, there was a lot of problems with me in trying to open these sleeves up so that I could actually slip the card in. My usual tactic of just adding some slight pressure to the side wouldn't actually open them. You can see that the sleeve has stuck to itself on the inside, and so that's part of the reasons why it's not opening. And the other part is it's kind of slick, and so my fingers aren't grabbing it well. And eventually, if you rub it for a while, some of these will open, but others I actually had to try to pull open at the top with my fingers, which was not at all easy to do. And then try to get a slight hole to open so that I can actually slip the card into the sleeve. The process of sleeving these was actually quite painful. Not in terms of actual physical pain, but the amount of time that it took to put each card in the sleeve was patience testing. The other downside of sleeving this way is that sometimes while I was trying to pull the sleeve open, or when I was rubbing against the sleeve, it would cause the sleeve to get bent. And as you can see, this results in a crease in the sleeve. And because soft sleeves crease very easily, trying to manipulate sleeves in such a way as to open them when they don't really want to be open because they've been sealed closed on the inside, results in several sleeves probably getting creased, or you taking an inordinate amount of time to sleeve the cards. And so, I mean, once you have the cards in the sleeves, you don't usually have to remove them, so that's nice, but the time that it takes to sleep up a game, especially if you have a lot of cards in the game, is going to be demanding for many of you. And so that's a really bad sleeving experience. Now that the cards have been sleeved, let's take a look at their uniformity and consistency out of the pack. First of all, I can tell you right now that the tops and the sides are very uniform and very consistent. There is very little variation that you can feel along the top or on the sides, so that is really nice. And it looks like the sleeves themselves, they came quite pristine out of the pack. Some of these sleeves, as you've seen before, took some creasing in the sleeving process, but they actually look really good coming out of the pack. The only downside when it comes to the factory fresh sleeve is that the sleeves come stuck to themselves and in themselves, so it becomes difficult to open them and consequently difficult to sleeve them. But other than that, it looks like these things are great. Now for the shuffle test, I'm going to shuffle these sleeved cards 100 times and we'll see how long it takes. Ready, set, go. Okay, that took 1 minute and 39 seconds to shuffle these 100 times. And that is the perfectly acceptable rate of 0.99 seconds per shuffle. It's not the fastest shuffle, but it's definitely fast enough. And this is in part because the sleeves are very slick, and so they slide against each other quite well, and they manage to slide into each other without much resistance or bounce. Now the handling did have some issues in that I often lost control of the cards while I was sleeving them, and sometimes they flipped out of my hands, as you probably saw in the video. But even with all those slip-ups, it still didn't really impede the speed by that much, and that just shows how easy it is for these sleeves to slide into each other and shuffle. The only problem is, like many soft sleeves, it's hard to keep a good grip on them because they're a little bit spongy as a result of the softness of the sleeve, and then also because they're slick and they're spongy, sometimes they can slip out of your hands if you're not shuffling very carefully. Now that we've done a bit of handling, let's take a look at the sleeves and see how well they held up. You know, for soft sleeves, these actually held up quite well. There doesn't seem to be any loss of glossiness, and the corners are relatively unbent. You can see some slight creasing, but they are still relatively straight. The only real considerable damage is the sleeves that were creased in the sleeving process themselves, and all the other sleeves are actually in relatively good condition. So, as usual, Ultimate Guard's soft sleeves turn out to be a relatively premium product, but you are paying a relatively premium price for it, so it makes sense. Next is shake test. I have stacked these sleeves into a deck, and I'm going to shake it for about 2 seconds to see if it holds up. Ready, set, go. Looks like it held up just fine. The deck started to split just a little, but it seems to be holding up even when the sleeves are pushed around a bit in the deck, and so I would say that it is a pass. Now there is a little bit of an accordion effect to this deck. If you press down on the sleeves, there's a bit of air that is in between all the sleeves, and it will breathe as it fills back up with air. But that doesn't seem to affect the deck's stability, and part of this is because the sleeves are so shallow themselves that they don't actually add much height to the deck, and I think that's part of the reason why that is so stable. Now I'm going to do the draw test. I'm going to draw 3 cards off the top and see how well the deck holds together. Ready, set, go. Okay, that is a pass. The deck obviously shifts a little, and sometimes it's actually difficult to grab a hold of these cards, but the cards don't slip out of the sleeve, which is good, and the cards are also holding steady in the deck. Even with a couple light hits, it seems to hold together just fine. So I think that you won't see too many issues trying to draw cards out of this deck. Ultimate Guard's premium soft sleeves for mini Euro cards have some major advantages and some major problems that we need to talk about. The advantages are, for soft sleeves, as usual, these are a premium product. Now, some of you just like soft sleeves better than thicker sleeves because some of you prefer the thinner profile of the sleeve, which these sleeves definitely get you. And so if you want a premium soft sleeve product, this is probably your best choice. However, these are still soft sleeves and they are fragile. As I found out during the sleeving test, the sleeves took some easy creasing while I was trying to open them up so that I could put the cards into the sleeve. And that is probably going to be the biggest knock against these sleeves. It is that the sleeves are probably the hardest to sleeve cards that I've experienced outside of sleeves that actually didn't fit their cards. And that's just because the sleeves come stuck to themselves and are very difficult to open. so that you can actually put the card into the sleeve. Now some of them didn't have that problem, but enough of them did that it actually made the process of sleeving these cards very frustrating. And that in itself, I think, is troublesome enough, especially when it results in creasing in some sleeves, that I can't really recommend these sleeves unless you absolutely must have soft sleeves and they must be of the highest quality. Other than that, these sleeves for soft sleeves are quite exemplary. I do believe, as you can see, there are some slight creasing in the corners, that these sleeves will only have the long-term durability that you might expect from soft sleeves, but probably better than less high quality soft sleeves on the market. But even all that doesn't really make up for the fact that these were such a pain to put cards into. If this video is helpful to you, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. I have links to surveys in the description box below that if you have experience with these sleeves or other mini Euro sleeves, you can share your experience so that we can all collectively share how we feel about the consistency and durability of these sleeves at the Init Games' resource page. Thanks for watching. This was Refresh, and I will see you next time.